Okay, we're talking about roof preparation. We're getting ready to start this project here in the next probably week or so. We want to get the roof prepped, get it ready to go. In this case, we actually have a leak on the building. We're just trying to do a temporary repair for the customer. But as we flash around here, you can see we've taken some time to use orange paint and mark everything up that we want to do. We want to go through just kind of start to finish and say, all right, this is what we're looking at on the job. So Yvonne, let's go back here to the back. Let's start at the very back of the building. If you look, you can see we've got some ponding water issues here. So we don't know at this point whether we have moisture in here. If it was dry, we'd be able to get in there and probe it and test it. But we need to know at some point, is there any standing water in here? Does it have any leak issues? If we can just clear this off, we're going to spray foam on this roof so we can actually build this up so it doesn't pond as much water there. We can do that, but more importantly, if there's moisture under there, we do have to come in and cut that out. We can't be spraying foam over moisture. It traps it in. It's going to cause blisters. Let's look at the drip edge here. You can actually see the reason I think in this case it's ponding water like it is we're slightly down here, but also this drip edge is up. So you can imagine this is ponding a tremendous amount of water on the edge. So with this roof, we're going to have to go in, tear out all the drip edge all the way along, tear it back down to the deck, install new metal drip edge. We've got to tie, I don't want you to get in there, but tie into this gutter system. You can see it's leaking back behind there, causing rot and damage to the building. All that has to be transferred over and taken care of. So let's go ahead and look at the parapet walls here. Some of the parapet walls on this building are salvageable, but you can see where we've marked it. That means we're cutting it out. And what we're going to do is cut that out probably right into this area right here. If there's moisture, we're going farther back. And then we're going to transition with foam, starting about 2 inches right here, building it in, and then foaming in the entire wall concept. So if this was all well adhered, we could actually spray over the top of it. In this case, you can start to see the buckling here. You've got a pretty big sheet of mod bit, and it's just not adhered and holding well enough to the wall. We want to get that off of there so we can get back to the raw brick in here. We can flash over all this, tie it into the existing building, and go. Other notes, we're going to leave all these open because we don't see any heater vents on the building. Some of these chimneys are still actively in use. They're running probably their hot water, they're running their furnace systems. If we close that in, it could cause a major issue. So as we kind of run up through here, we look at our vents. We've marked them with an X. This is an indication to the crew, we want this gone. We got a metal pipe here that's no longer in use. We're tearing it out, we're putting foam over it and going forward. Vents, we do the same thing. In this case, we're going to change the whole dynamic of the system. We're going to tear this vent out. We're going to put a piece of plywood right on top. Just a little square piece of plywood, and we're going to foam it in. Our air conditioner unit, Yvonne, over here. One of the things that was not in this bid that should have been. An air conditioner guy has to come in and remove and reset this thing. You can look where it's up. This isn't something realistically we're going to be able to remove and reset without them disconnecting it. In addition, I don't want to mess with that too much. There's an electrical line there. They need the HVAC guy needs to come in and run that and permanently mount again so it meets up with new building codes. This is one of the things we want you guys taking pictures of, documenting, noting in your contract that there's going to be an additional expense. We'd ideally like the business to use their HVAC contractor of choice. They're the most familiar with the system. But again, we got chimney up here. You can see this thing is a huge leak issue. We don't know if it's still in use. We don't know if it's still not in use. This is something you need to be documenting. And again, when they have the HVAC guy up, they can take care of this. We can come in and foam it up to here. We can tie all this in. We can stop the leak issues around here. But at some point, the HVAC guy needs to come in and get this taken care of and brought back up to code. So as you come around, you see the parapet walls on right in here. You can see where they've stopped pulling away from the wall right here. This has been up for a few years, so reasonably comfortable at this point that this is going to stay and be all right. So we're going to just stop our tear-off process there because we don't have to charge the customer additional money for what they don't need to do. Everything looks pretty good all the way up the roof until we start to get up here. So we're doing a temporary repair today. You can actually see a break in the wall flashing right here. We marked this just so the crew knows where to go in and patch this in so it'll stop the leaks permanently. Foam will cover that up, so that's not going to be an issue. Then you get to here. We marked this with an X. That is it's a blister in there, so we've obviously had moisture under there. We're gonna cut out around this blister. Once we're done with it, we'll get it back down to deck, we'll foam it in. Should be no issue. All the way up through here, you start to see our parapet walls. You can start to see now where they pulled away from the wall. They're not in very good shape. We're gonna cut that back somewhere right into here. And we're gonna tie foam right in all the way over. Basically, we're encapsulating the entire system. And the same deal here. You can see we turned the corner here. We wanna clear some of that out. It's had a lot of leak issues in it. Want to get some of that out of there so we can kind of start clean and start fresh all the way through here. Now the guys have already started on the repair. Kind of give you guys a mindset of what's back behind here. You can see this piece of wood right here. It's just what they call a cant strip, just so it provides a little bit of a transition angle. This is what we're going to do all the way down, is tear all that out to that area. Then when we come in and spray foam, we're going to come up to about right here on the wall, because we want to clean this thing up. You can see we'll knock some of this loose cement out. But we want a nice clean line all the way down, so when the customer sees it, they're a little happier with it. It looks a little more professional. Areas here we've marked. Again, this is for a temporary repair, but we wanted to make sure we've got a break in the system right here, and we want to make sure that gets cut out, taken care of. All of this, by marking these, just makes it easier for the crew, makes it easier for the supervisors and whatnot to come in and take a look and see what needs to be done. You can see here we've marked it. We're going to tear all this out. This is just part of the temporary repair work today, and we'll go from there. Make sure when you guys are writing up your sheets, we need this thing diagrammed out. We need to know how many foot of parapet wall is over on this wall. Easiest way, guys, to do it is take an average. You can see the wall gets perpetually higher down to here. So if you come up here and measure in the middle of the roof system, measure from here all the way to the corner right here, because this is all square footage based. Down here, up to the top, that'll give you an average, but we do want to know on your diagrams, it's 2 foot down at the front end of the building, maybe it's 5 or 6 foot down at the other. It gives us an idea of what we're working with. It helps us work better with the contractors as they're doing all this different work. Outside of that, time frame wise, we're in the middle of winter here. We're trying to spray foam, something that needs a 55-degree surface temperature before it's going to work correctly. And we've got an acrylic which needs 8 hours, 10 hours of 40-degree plus weather before it freezes. So these are all things you got to communicate out with your customer. Last thing here, almost forgot. We've got a wall right here. Now this is on the neighbor's building, so we'll have to get permission to do this. This is no longer in use, was probably some type of roof hatch or whatever. We are actually going to tape this thing in starting right here, and we're going to spray foam over this entire section. The reason we want to do that is we want to create a solid system from roof all the way to the top. This is a gigantic leak issue. We're just going to spray a light coat of foam, and then we're going to coat it just to make sure there's no voids, no gaps, nothing of that nature. Mark your pipe flashings down here. So we don't have to mark anything around them because we're not tearing them out, but we do want to know they're on there. We do want to know what we're looking at before we get there. And most importantly, guys, take a video, just like what we're doing here. It doesn't need to be a 10-minute video. It does not need to be a 5-minute video, but it does need to be about a minute to 2 minutes of you guys walking the roof and you guys commentating just like we did right here. Tell us what you're seeing. It allows you to load that video onto YouTube, allows me to look at it from a distance, allows us to make better decisions both on our bidding and everything else. This job's going to come in at a lower margin because we simply didn't do these base things. We got the customer with a roof they don't need, they don't like. We're having to make changes on the fly. It's going to hurt margin, going to hurt a lot of different things, and a simple 2-minute video probably solves the issue there.